What's up, YouTube? How y'all doing today? Hope y'all having a good day today. So today's video is going to be for the parents of LGBTQ individuals. So here I have my wonderful mother. No mean comments about my mom. Don't do it. Don't do it. You're laughing, but I'm being serious.
Okay, I'm sorry.
No, I get it. There's a lot of jackasses. So.
Okay.
So, Mom, guess what?
What?
I love transgender women. What do you think of that? Think it's wrong? Think it's weird? Think I'm a psycho?
Oh, you're definitely psycho.
Oh, yeah?
No, I don't think it's wrong or weird. And I don't really think you're psycho. Most of the time, I don't really think you're psycho.
Yeah.
But, no, I just feel like what's important is that you're with somebody who loves you and treats you right, and you're respected and cared for, and you know who that is as far as their superficial physical appearance really is not that important.
Yeah. Well, thank you, Mom. So, like I said, this video is for the parents. What would you say to... We'll start on the good side of things and work our way back. What would you say to the parents who already support their children in the LGBTQ community, but they're kind of like a bit nervous for their child and whatnot? And what would you say to those parents who are already in support but not sure how to go about it? What would be your advice, your take on that?
Well, I certainly understand being nervous for your child because the world is can be pretty cruel, and I know most parents want their child to have a good life and don't want them to struggle and don't want them to experience heartache and judgment and that sort of thing. So I would just say, just keep being there and being supportive because you're the place you're supposed to be. To me, you're supposed to be the soft place for your loved ones to land. You need to be, the world out there can be hard and cruel, and you need to be the softness. You need to be the person there to provide the warmth, not physical warmth, but emotional warmth. You need to be that person for your child, no matter what.
That's a really good answer. much better speaker than I am. I'd probably be like, just don't be a jackass, man.
Well, yeah, don't be a dick. Yeah, that's another piece of good advice. I think I read that on Facebook somewhere.
Oh yeah. Yeah. All right. You think you scoot over a little more? You're like halfway cut off there. Okay. There you go. It's a little bit better. I think they probably want to see you more than me, anyways.
I doubt that.
All right. Well, cool. So, what would you say to the parents who don't support their children? Who I've had a friend of mine who actually, this is several months ago, but he actually his father actually kicked him out. Well, I don't remember now if he actually kicked him out or told him that do not bring, because he had a girl in his life. She was trans, and I don't remember if his father told him, well, if you're seeing her being with her, you're not welcome around here. Don't bring that in my house. And that's the same thing as pretty much kicking your son out or your child out if they have somebody whom you disagree with. That's the same thing as kicking them out, because I mean, if you're gonna be with somebody, you're gonna be with somebody,
right?
And so, but anyway, basically, he ran into a situation where he basically got kicked out. His dad kicked him out, and I would say his name, but I haven't cleared it with him. I'm sure he wouldn't mind, but Well, I mean, there's a lot worse scenarios than that. They
Right.
physically got kicked out. I've heard people getting physically kicked out. Like the usually the father, not always, but usually the father will grab a hold of their son or daughter and just throw them out. Like, get the fuck out of my house! Don't bring that into my house.
Mm-hmm.
And what would you say to those parents who are that judgmental or maybe that fearful to the fact that they're afraid of what their children are doing is going to impact them in their lives?
Mm-hmm.
What would you say to those parents? Advice you'd give to try and help them see?
Well, here's the thing, at least from my perspective. What has really changed about that person? The person who has come out, so to speak. Nothing. They're who they always are and who they've always been. So the only difference is now you know for certain. You might have had suspicions, but it's okay. So now you know. So you can't live, in denial. So just remember, this is who they are. This is who they've been. So, you know, how can you turn away? If you loved your child, the week before you found out, why don't you love them now? Or why don't you accept them now? And, remember that your child is their own person. And as hard as it is for us as parents, your child came from you. So sometimes it's hard to see them as a separate person, especially when they're younger. And I know that's kind of weird for anybody who maybe, isn't a parent, but, this person came from you. So they're part of you. And you have to get to a point where you realize that this person is not you. This person is their own person. And therefore, they have the right to live their own life. And whether you agree with it or not, that's their life. But as their parent, how can you turn your back on somebody that, before you, knew this about them, you loved them, you accepted them, you cared for them, you lived in the same house together. How can you just turn around and just throw away that person? That I don't understand it. So I think people just need to kind of think about who their child is not who they are. And what other people think, really at the end of the day, it doesn't matter. If you live your life worried about what other people think, you're never going to be happy, and you're never going to accept other people, let alone yourself. So, I just think just taking a look at who that person is, who your child is, and loving them for who they are, and not who you project them to be or who you think they should be, because it's not your life to live, it's theirs.
Well, very well said.
Did I go too far off?
No. It kind of makes sense because I do the same thing. So yeah, I guess maybe that's where I get it from.
Mm-hmm.
I just talk, and I know why you did. No, in a good way. No, you're trying to fully explain, so there is no confusion on what you're saying. You're fully explaining it out or whatnot. There is one thing I wanted to. I think I know what you mean, but just for clarification purposes, you said who your child is not who they are. Can you explain that?
No, I meant who your child is not who. I mean, who your child is who they are, not who you want them to be or who you project, what you project on them to be.
Okay, yeah. One thing I will say, is, I think in some ways it's based on what I've seen, it's mostly on the parents' side of things that there needs to be the majority of understanding. But there does need to be a mutual understanding on both sides of the fence here when you're LGBTQ. Because, this kind of comes back to what you're saying about projecting, the mother and father will project an idea of a future on their
Right.
son or daughter, like, oh, they're gonna go to college, they're gonna do this, they're gonna find that special somebody, we're gonna have beautiful grandchildren someday,
Mm-hmm.
da 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 da. White picket fence, dog and 2.5 kids.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that's the American standard, by the way. 2.5 kids,
And
half a kid.
I was this just kind of jumped into my head too. It was something that I had thought about before. In some instances, um, the parent, again, because they have a view of the future that they've seen for their child, in some instances, they could be mourning the loss of that future.
Yeah, that's where I was getting
And
at.
the loss of, the in the case of, a person who is transgender, and specifically when it comes to you with the male to female transgender, a parent sees their son and they have to mourn the loss of their son, and they also have to process the idea of gaining a daughter that they may not have really seen in their future. Let's say you have a family that only has sons. I have 2 sons. So at this point in my life, I don't see a future with a daughter in it because I'm too old for that, and and because I've raised 2 sons. But if I had a son that came out as transgender, I would be accepting, but I would also have to mourn the loss of the person that my son was, and learn to accept the person that my now daughter would be.
Yeah.
So I think that parents need to be given and give themselves permission to mourn and process, if that makes sense.
Yeah, that's where I was going to go with you. It kind of stole a point out of.
I'm sorry, I didn't mean to steal your thunder.
You just steal things. I'm all offended.
I'm sorry.
Just kidding.
Okay.
Love you, Mom.
Love you, baby.
But but yeah, there has to be a mutual understanding on both sides of the fence, and that could be kind of I can understand it could be a rough topic to touch upon, but it is something that has to happen, because your mother and father could be more than willing to accept who you are today, and not just in regards of trans, but if you come out as a gay man or a gay woman or
Mm-hmm.
bi, or there's so many different things you can be, like non-binary and all these other different things, how you could live your life essentially.
Right.
I try to be all inclusive here.
Right.
But if you immediately get this idea in your head that, oh, they're just being hateful, even though they could be kind of, your parents could struggle a bit in the beginning. If you get this idea in your head automatically, oh, they're just being hateful or they're just being judgmental, and you shut them out, you could be shutting out, family that could be more than willing to accept you, but you did it, too soon before
Right.
they could go through their mourning process. Sometimes things take time, unfortunately, and it's easy to get caught up. We're in a society of instant gratification. Things can happen pretty quickly, you know what I mean? And with
And if you think about
fucking
it,
Facebook.
yeah. Yeah.
Oh yeah,
And if you think about it, as the person who is potentially coming out in whatever manner that is, you probably have gone through internally your processes of accepting and
beforehand,
all the things that you go through, and now your parents have to go through those things too, and just because they don't just automatically say, Yeah, or I wouldn't say not because they don't automatically say, because your parents, they shouldn't. I don't feel like your parents should be negative, but because they're having a time dealing with it, so remember they have to go through, that mourning process, like this, the five, there's the different stages when it comes to things. There's the denial, there's bargaining, and all these things, and those are like what the stages of grief.
Yeah.
And they have to grieve what they believed was going to come about in your life and in their lives, because as you had mentioned, grandkids and that sort of thing. And you have to, well, you don't have to give anybody anything, but it would be nice if you gave people time to deal with that. And I think it would be wonderful if people could be more open and talk about these things amongst themselves, because you don't know what somebody else is thinking. You have to talk to them. You can't assume that because they're acting a certain way that they think a certain way. It's just talking and coming and being open and being honest about feelings and being okay with what you might hear, because you might hear them talking about, what's the word I'm looking for? Well, I guess mourning would be mourning some of the things that they expected from you. But this isn't a rejection. This is just being human.
Yeah. Needing that adjustment period, so to speak.
Right.
Yeah, some good points for sure. Okay. So I don't know would you like to add anything else, like your personal touch, like as far as acceptance and anything you want to tell personally about me telling you about, who I date, anything you want to talk about from a personal standpoint? I mean, kind of an open forum here.
Well, I had suspected, as we had talked, many times, I had suspected, give me the eyes, that, what's the word I'm looking for? That your orientation was not going to be, let's say, traditional, to use that word. And I had known that probably since you were like 15, 16 years old. That always, there was that suspicion that there was going to be something non-traditional. And so I guess because of that, I really, it wasn't as difficult for me, because it was like it was already in my mind to be ready to be accepting of those things, that for you there might not be the picket fence and the 2.5 kids and all that, and that's okay.
And the reason why we say 2.5 kids, if you look it up, the average couple
Right.
and family household comes down to an average of 2.5 kids. So, yeah, a bit disturbing, but
Yeah.
Maybe the other kid is like that one guy on that movie Aliens, when he got cut in half, but he's still alive. The android guy. Maybe you're supposed to have an android kid.
That's disturbing.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. It's kind of a cool scene, though.
It's still disturbing.
Yeah. That's your opinion.
Yeah. I think we should move on.
Yeah. But, I mean, I've heard you say that before or whatnot, that you always thought there would be something different about me. I mean, what did you think I was going to be, gay or bi or what? Like, you just didn't know?
Yeah, I didn't know. I didn't know what it was going to be.
Yeah, I hear a lot of parents say that about their children. Actually, my current girlfriend, she told me that when she was real little, that she went to I think it was like her grandparents or her grandfather, and even the grandfather said something about you're different, so I find that kind of interesting how some people can kind of see from early on, and some other people going in now, oh no, they're not different at all, like like my dad. And he never said anything like that. He suspected I was gonna be different, right?
No, he never.
Yeah.
He didn't.
Reason being is because father's genetics are superior, and we don't differ from anything that's what's is normal.
Okay.
Yeah. That was a joke. But yeah, if Dad were here, he'd be like, "Oh, that's your mother's genetics," No, it's just a joke. My dad's much better about who I am today than he was in recent years.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, okay. So anything else that you would like to add for the audience?
Can't really think of anything. Is there anything that you think I should add? Is there any?
No, I was just asking
I
because.
feel like I'm being put on the spot here.
Oh no.
Is there anything? Is there anything you should add? Is there anything?
Oh yeah, no. I kind of do that at the end of most of my little interview type videos. It has because again, I'm trying to give everybody as much of a chance as I can to put their voice in and whatnot. And I will be honest, I do when it comes to matters such as this because my family is kind of divided on me and what I'm doing is right or wrong or whatever. And no offense, not really your place. So go away if you think I should be different, but whatever. But so I do have a tendency to cherry pick when it comes to family and who I interview and bring on the YouTube channel. And the reason being is because in the community, everybody knows about the hate and discrimination.
Right.
But unfortunately, and I hope this doesn't trigger anybody, but it's the truth, not everybody knows about acceptance in certain regards. You know what I mean? So I do that to try and promote positivity and try and promote, acceptance. And this is mainly for parents. So if anybody comes across my YouTube channel and they want to send this video link to their parents who are struggling or don't accept or whatever, then, maybe it could change somebody's mind. So, but yeah, that's the. But yeah, I'm being honest. I am cherry picking a little bit when it comes to these types of interviews because everybody knows about the discrimination. But anyways,
right, you're trying to be the good news portion of the horrible newscast.
I guess it's one way to look at it. Yeah. So.
Yeah, it's like in like CNN, you have all these horrible stories, and then you have the upbeat thing of the day.
Yeah,
so
try to be. Yeah.
But, you're the upbeat broadcast of the day.
Yeah, trying to be, I guess. That's one way of looking at it. But, alrighty, well, I think that pretty much concludes today's interview. Thank you for being on my YouTube channel, Mom. I appreciate it. I was wanting to do this much sooner, but, been busy and stuff.
Right.
So, but, anyhow.
Becoming such a big man. Running off and
that's kind of
being...
sarcastic.
I'm not being sarcastic.
It's a little sarcastic.
Yeah, you're being a big man, all grown up, and moving off to New York and leaving me.
Yeah, that's going to conclude today's interview. Thank you for watching. Peace. Love you, Mom.
I love you too.